Good morning, everybody. It's so wonderful to see so many of you this morning. My name is Angela Clark, and I'm a board member at the Center for Spiritual Living, White Rock. And it's such a great pleasure to be here today. And without getting into too much down the rabbit hole, I just want to say that my intention for today is to offer my prayers to the people of the Ukraine. But before we get on to anything else, we are very delighted to have the talented Nathan Aswell as our musician today. Nathan is a recording artist and a speaker based in Vancouver, and he believes that his calling in this life is to encourage people to big lives. Nathan honors his calling by performing and speaking internationally at conferences, concerts, retreats, and churches, presenting his music, stories, and humor with his voice and his Chapman stick. Wanting to best serve during this pandemic, he now offers morning musings with music and meditation every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific. In September and October of 2019, Nathan walked the Camino del Santiago, a 500-mile, 800-kilometer pilgrimage across Spain, and he's currently writing a book about his experience. I cannot wait to read that one, Nathan. It is a dream of mine. So let's give Nathan Aswell a very warm welcome. And here's our opening song.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to start this morning with a song by Daniel Namod called Love Is My Decision. Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to stand on that bridge. Love is my decision. No one else can make me forgive. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. Love is my decision. It's up to me to dance down that road. Love is my decision. No one else can lighten my load. Once I decide to change my mind, God will show me how. Love is my decision right here and now. My decision right here and now.
Thank you, Nathan. That was such a beautiful way to start our morning. And please, Nathan, put your contact information in the chat so we can connect with you and your beautiful music. And now I'd like to offer a warm welcome to any first-time guests. Please let us know in the chat where you're zooming in from today. And as we begin our gathering today, as settlers on this land, we are honored to live and operate on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish people, including in my neck of the woods, the Semiahmoo, the Kwantlen, Katzie, and Wasonic. We thank the First Peoples who continue to live on these lands to care for them, along with the waters and all that is above and below. At CSL White Rock, we are an inclusive spiritual community and learning center. We teach spiritual principles and offer practical tools to use in all areas of your lives on a regular basis and consistent basis. When we live by principle, life flows easier, choices are clearer, and it seems miracles are everyday occurrences. There is wonder in every day, just waiting for us to live it. So let's start.
Good morning, everyone. One of the greatest joys of my 20 plus years in ministry, strangely enough, is the same as that of my previous 15 years in education. And that is attending the graduations of my students. In my career, I saw 20 of my students graduate into ministry. Most of them are still active in some manner somewhere, as well as a dozen practitioners, of which Tamara is one of the last. I'm sometimes asked to come and speak at the installations of my students as new spiritual directors and leaders in centers. And I'm not here today to do that. I'm simply marking the fact that this is Tamara's first Sunday lecture as your interim spiritual director. But if you're lucky and you play your cards right, one day I or one of our elders will be standing before you to introduce her to you as your new permanent spiritual director. One of our elders, Dr. Stuart Grayson, told my prayer partner of over 20 years, David, you are the guru of your own ashram. You have all come here today to sit at the feet of your elder. She may be younger than you. She is certainly younger than me. But she is an elder, make no mistake. I saw it in her the first time I met her. I said, you'll be a minister one day, or words to that effect. She has done what so few have the courage to do. She has walked into the dark wood. She has lost the path and found it again over and over. And she has a tale to tell about spiritual growth. It is the only story worth telling. Listen to her and walk the path with her if you dare. I will leave you today with a blessing and a curse. Write it down and ponder it. May your last elder die before you have touched the depth of your own loneliness. And now I turn you over to your new spiritual teacher, Tamara Rossander.
Thank you, Terry. I'm speechless, which doesn't happen very often, as many of you know. I want to say, first of all, I'm so grateful to be here today in this role and in this time. And I thought it was fitting today for me to start talking about belonging and spiritual community. And I would be amiss as Angela are so graciously opened our day today with the fact that there is, in this season of nonviolence right now, so much turmoil going on in the world, not just in the Ukraine, but there's 70 different places right now that are experiencing violence, turmoil. I know this is a heavy topic to start with, and yet I think it's important that we don't sideswipe it, that we don't not embrace what is actually happening in the world. So I ask you today to double down as our leader and spiritual director of the organizations for Centers for Spiritual Living said today in his morning devotion. Let's double down on our spiritual practice and pray for whoever needs praying for, because that is the key to spiritual community. That is the key to our growth. That is the key to the love that is everywhere in the world. It's the key to peace and harmony, is when we step in to our spiritual practices. And there's 5 main ones. The main practice of being prayer, contemplation, meditation, tithing, selfless service, which I call seva, and education. And I'm so thrilled to be part of this community where we offer opportunities for all those things to happen in our little community of White Rock that we're growing. And I know that each one of us here wants to be the love that is expressed in the world that they want to see. So I wanted to start today, after the acknowledgement of what's happening in the world, with a poem by Mary Oliver called Wild Geese. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you about mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clear blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, sometimes harsh, sometimes exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Mary Oliver, Wild Geese. How beautiful is that to start? Whoops, as I drop my book. How to ruin a moment. You know, and I was thinking about the wild geese, and I read an article, and they're amazing animals. So we all know they fly in that V formation. And they're such a great example of community because they're collaborative. They support each other. They're always there knowing where the other one is. They have a shared leadership. So when they're flying in their V, they have their leader at the front. And, you know, at the time he's doing the heavy lifting, but he doesn't always have to do the heavy lifting because he falls back and somebody else comes in to take over. And they're saving energy flying in this formation. They're also, you know, honking at each other as they go by, like, come on, keep up, let's go, we can do this, I know it. And that is spiritual community. That is what we are here for, to walk with each other along this path, to help each other, to uplift each other. I'm so happy I found the Science of Mind and this community to be part of, that I know that I can turn to my practitioners, I can turn to my teachers, and they will honk at me to move through and to be going on through life. But the other thing that is so exciting about and so lovely about the geese is that if one gets tired and falls away, that another one stops and will go down and be with that one until they're ready to fly again, until they're ready to join the group and be part of that again. So what a fabulous example in nature about being community, about working together, about being on track with each other. So the other piece that I want to talk to you about then is also the belonging. So I was talking with Reverend Terry about this talk, and he had told me about belonging. Longing is something that we are always wanting to be part of, we're longing for that union that Diane talked about in her meditation, that union with that divine. And when we have that and we put the be in front of the longing, it intensifies it. And so we're moving towards being longing, to being part of something, to being part of ourselves and sharing that in the world with everyone else. And then that's the part of spiritual community. It's part of growth, love, peace, and harmony. It's about, in Science of Mind, that the 365, Ernest Holmes says, there is no exclusion and there is inclusion. There is no individual good. There is only good. There's no good that belongs to me alone. It is for everyone. When we see God in everything, we will never be lonely. When we see God in everything and everyone, we will never be lonely. And that is the thing about spiritual community. We get to practice that on a daily basis. We get to practice being with each other. Like, I don't know about you, but it happens to me. I know it's going to be hard to believe, but sometimes I bump up against people. But if I'm just living here by myself in my own little world and I don't have anybody in it with me, how do I grow? How do I move forward without that little nudge, without that little annoyance, or what are they doing? Why would they do that? Could be like when my husband drives in the car and I think we should be going one way and he turns left instead of right. And I'm like, why? But it's just, again, for me to take a look at, why do I need to be in control of that? He's totally capable driver. He's been driving, I won't say how long, because then you'll guess how old he is. But it's that piece of us. So if we don't have people in our lives that we can test these things out with, that we can check in and go, oh, there I am. That's interesting. Janet, earlier when we were first talking, she said she always remembers a phrase that we say about being curious. You know, oh, I'm curious about how I'm showing up right now. I'm curious about how I'm behaving in this moment. So it's good for me to expand on that releasing and knowing. And another thing is, the more we release our good and the more good that we experience. So the more I then practice patience with my husband, the more patience I'll receive in my life. The more compassion I express for that person who's annoying me in community, the more compassion I can feel for myself and for others. And the more compassion that I receive. I've been reading Toko Turner's book, Belonging. And she's a Canadian writer. She lives on one of the Gulf Islands here. And she talks about spiritual community or community as tending the village. And I love that. You know, that I've always thought, and one of the things what I came to when I joined the spiritual community is that there's always that saying of, it takes a community to raise a child. But it also is that community for our spiritual growth. We need community to help us move forward in our life. Again, if we have community, it offers us growth. We have community, it offers us love. It offers us peace and harmony. And part of being in a community and tending our village is about, okay, let's try this word, reciprocity. Reciprocity. That circular motion of giving, taking, receiving, going back and forth with things. So the thing I like that she says about reciprocity is that in a healthy community, all members are held essential and their gifts are value, but need is the glue that binds us. We need each other. We need each other's prayers. We need each other in different ways. And I don't usually like the word need because I think really we don't need anything. It's just everything is here right now in us. And yet, what a rich experience when we're in community, when we're breaking bread with others, when we're on a walk and a new idea comes to us, that new thought of that is who we are. Stephen Jenkins was in an interview the other day and he was asked, you know, what is the sorrow of Western culture, of the Western soul? And he said, it's homelessness, the inability to belong. So how important is it for us to belong somewhere? And what does belonging mean to you? You know, think about that. Where do you want to belong? How do you want to be in community? It's important that we have shared values in community. A community is shared sense of values. It intersects with us into a long-lasting creation of meaningful change. Before we can make the village we long for, we first have to name what we value most so that we can envision the tomorrow we want to create. And how fortunate we're right at that point right now here at CSL White Rock. We are starting visioning for what is next. What is it that we want to do here as a community? Envision how we want to see the change. Whether it's we want to step out and be part of social justice, we want to go and help feed the homeless. Last night was the coldest night of the year walk, and I think the people sleep outside all night to raise the awareness of our homelessness people in the world. And I know I had a friend who slept out on their deck last night, and I know that's, you know, still pretty safe and areas, but it's that wanting to make a change, wanting to make a difference that is important. And Terry talked about eldership. It was funny in tending the village. Toko Turner talks a lot about eldership. How important it is that we have those people in our lives that are wiser and more experienced than ourselves to help us walk this path. And in our community, how fortunate are we? If we look around the room, there's many wise elders that we can call upon to be with us, to help us through to this next stage of being. You know, and in reciprocity as well, it talks about sharing our dreams, our grief, and our responsibility with others. How beautiful is that, that I can be there for you and you can be there for me. In times of need, in times of joy. And that's the other piece is so important about community. Where is our ritual these days? What is the ritual that we have embedded? I know we have weddings, birthdays, but where is that where we stand around the fire, howl at the moon? Maybe that might be a little too much. It brings back memories. But, you know, it's that being together and having that common goal, that common knowledge that we are one. We are one with the one, and we are one with everything around us. You know, Brene Brown says, true belonging only happens when we present our authentic, imperfect selves to the world. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-awareness. Our sense of belonging can never be greater than our level of self-awareness. And how do we up-level our self-awareness? It is by joining a community and belonging. You know, right now we're doing our membership drive for people to join in and to be part of our community. So when you sign up to become a member, you're making a commitment to yourself. You're setting that intention of personal growth. You're setting an intention to be the love you want to see in the world. You're setting an intention for peace, harmony, and love. How wonderful is that, that we can show up in that way? And there is so much love in this world, in this Zoom room right here, of people getting to know each other. And I don't want to make it weird for our first timers that are here showing up today, but yet this is where we can grok things out. We can think about things. We can be in community together. And I'd like you to think about this part of it is, where do we want to show up, and how can we be the longing? How can we be the longing? And what do I mean by that? Well, rather than asking yourself, where do I belong? Why don't we change that around so that the longing becomes the practice? So if you want somebody to call you to check in on you, why not be that person who calls someone to check in on them? If you want to be seen and heard, why not listen to someone else so that they can be seen and heard? There's opportunity for us to show up in so many different ways in our community and to work together in spiritual practice. And right now, I love that Dr. Edward Vilhoen is every morning at 6 a.m. He is doing a morning devotional on Facebook, but you can watch it also on YouTube and different, and I believe there's a link that you can, in our newsletter, that you can watch it if you're not on Facebook. But he has grown from the beginning. He has over 230 people checking in at 6 a.m. Well, maybe different times, because you can watch it at any time, to be in community, to practice together, to be in devotion. So when we take time today, like in meditation, when Diane did that beautiful, heartfelt meditation, I melted into my seat. But we were there together, holding that energy and practicing the silence together. So today I encourage you to take that belonging and change it around. Maybe you sign up and become a member. Maybe you call someone. Maybe you go to a food bank and drop something off. Because the greatest gift that we can do is for the thing that we most want is to give that away. When we give that away, whether it's money, food, love, it comes back to us. Again, it goes to that law of reciprocity. Because we're all in this together, this world, this oneness of everything that is. It's the time of the lone wolf is over. I know, Terry, sorry about that. Terry's always consider herself sometimes a lone wolf, but it's time for collaboration. It's time for us to grow together, to be together, to show up together in ways that we can make a ripple in the world. Mother Teresa said, you know, I can't change the world myself, but I can throw a stone and I can create ripples throughout. So let's throw our stones. Let's throw our stones and be that ripple in the world. So, in closing, knowing that here you belong. We belong here in this community, in this world, as we are all together. And it is an opportunity for growth. It's an opportunity for love. It's an opportunity to create peace and harmony in our lives. So I'm going to take this into prayer. I ask you, if you're willing, close your eyes, be here now. Knowing the truth. There's one life, one love, that divine spark, that creative peace within each of us. That is expressing through each person here in its own unique individual way, as we are spirit having this human experience. We express love, joy, and I know the honest of being in community, of stepping in and holding the hand of the person next to me in this Zoom room, in this world. So today I claim peace for all the turmoil that is out there. I claim knowing that truth of peace, love, harmony. And let that settle into my heart. And know that truth for myself and for each one here. So it is with gratitude, a full heart, that I say yes to this community. I say thank you as I step in to the next expression of CSL White Rock. And I know that each of you here will join with me hand in hand as we walk this path together to awaken our hearts, to enrich our lives, and transform the world. It all starts with one stone, creating the ripple. So I release these words to love and law, knowing it is already so, and so it is.
So if you have been nourished by our gatherings, as well as our weekly and monthly programs, including circles, and please do go online and find out when our next circle is going to take place. Gifts of all sizes are welcome. And what a lovely demonstration of the law of circulation and reciprocity to receive and to give. Know that your contribution makes a positive difference. And you can donate on our website at cslwhiterock.com. And if giving online doesn't work for you, you can also mail us a check or send us an e-transfer. And all of that information is in the Zoom chat. So thank you very much. So please join with me in declaring our prosperity affirmation. Divine love within blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is.